Hanzo's been pissing me off for a while, and I feel like I've got a lot of good reasons for why that is. I'm not going to talk about Hanzo mains. I am not talking about Hanzo in the meta. I am talking about Hanzo as a character and his life choices and attitude. When other heroes try to interact with Hanzo, he's a dick to them. Okay? So for example, McCree tries to start a harmless conversation with Hanzo, and he's like,
You know, that sake's not half bad, but I prefer a little bite to my liquor.
Hanzo says,
How predictable. Such an unsophisticated taste.
like, really, dude? He's just trying to start conversation with you, and you're gonna shut him down like that and like immediately judge him because he doesn't like your sprite or whatever. That was one of the first things that kind of got me thinking about Hanzo and like, who is this guy? Like, who does he think he is talking to McCree like that? Damn. In another case, Widowmaker says,
Talon could restore your family's empire.
and Hanzo says,
But at what cost?
all dramatic. I used to think that when Hanzo said that, he meant like, but at what spiritual cost? Because I couldn't stand for what Talon represents. That's not what he means. Okay, let's just clarify. Because no cost is too high for Hanzo to manage the family business. He literally tried to kill his brother for the family business, okay? So when he's saying, but at what cost? He's literally asking, but how much will it cost? Let's get some contractors out. Let's get some price estimates, because there's actually a good bit of property damage in Hanamura lately. So like, let's talk numbers. Take, for example, this situation with Junkrat. Junkrat is over here minding his own business. And Hanzo's like,
Where did you hide your treasure? You could hardly have it on your person.
scares Junkrat. Junkrat almost has a panic attack. He starts to hyperventilate a little bit.
Sure, I don't know anything you're talking about.
First of all, it's not his business where the hell Junkrat keeps his treasure. Who gives a shit about Junkrat's treasure? First of all. Secondly, Hanzo is rich. Okay? He's the heir of the Shimada fortune. And he's shaking down scruffy-ass Junkrat who can't even afford a new foot for himself. I mean, goddamn. Can you back off, Hanzo? Can you mind your own business? Let's talk about his voice lines. Let's talk about Hanzo's voice lines.
Expect nothing less.
You literally cannot expect less from Hanzo. I know I'm not the first person who has heard him say that and thought, I can't. I literally cannot expect less from you, Hanzo. One of his voice lines is,
If you sit by the river long enough, the bodies of your enemies will float by.
Now I want you to think about the philosophy of that statement for a second. If you do nothing and sit on ass, the team will do the work for you and the other team will be dead. And what did you have to do? Nothing. That's the whole Hanzo philosophy. Pretty much every Hanzo I've ever met.
Ignore all distractions.
Like the payload, like the objective.
Simple geometry.
That's the kind of thing frat kids say when they land trick shots in beer pong and act like it was all skill. I think there's a real move called scatter shot. It's when you throw a bunch of balls and land all the cups, and it's cheating and you should be banned from the game.
All of this was to be mine.
Whose fault is that, Hanzo? Hanzo's the kind of guy who abandons stuff and then wants it back later. If you wanted that cheesecake, you shouldn't have left it in the fridge and invited me over. Let's talk about Genji. Do y'all remember Hermie the elf from the North Pole who wanted to be a dentist, but his whole family crapped on him for it and told him that he needs to make toys because he's Santa's elf? That's basically Genji's situation, except instead of making toys, they want him to sell drugs, and instead of wanting to be a dentist, he wants to do nothing. The point is, Genji didn't really care about it, didn't want to be in it, so what did Hanzo do about that? Here's a hint. He didn't promote him to head elf. They didn't go out and have ice creams together and laugh about how different they are. No, Hanzo decided to murder him. Even the elders were like, damn, Hanzo, we told you to straighten out Genji, not mutilate him. I mean, how do you even disfigure someone with a bow? Are you stabbing your arrows at him? Anyway, as usual, Hanzo completely ignored Mercy, who was able to swoop in and rescue Genji. She sent him back to spawn, got him a sexy cyborg body, and they did it. That's canon. I'm not making that up. Why would I make something up that I desperately want to be true? Moving right along, if you watch the cinematic, you should. It goes into Genji meeting Hanzo years later after Genji is like at peace and he's been training with Zenyatta and he's like super zen and cool and Hanzo's still an asshat. It'll tell you a lot about the difference between these two brothers. Genji in game will say to Hanzo,
What's wrong, Hanzo? Don't you recognize me?
and Hanzo says,
You may call yourself my brother, but you are not the Genji I knew.
so step back and think about that for a second. That's like if you hit your own brother with a car and he came back in a full body cast and you're like,
You were never my equal.
it boggles the mind how terrible Hanzo is. Doomfist actually invites Hanzo to join Talon.
Hanzo, you should consider joining us. I think we'd see eye to eye.
I would have little to gain from such an arrangement.
He doesn't say, absolutely not, Talon is vicious and horrible. He doesn't say that. He says, what's in it for me? Hanzo manages to out-dick the biggest dicks in the Overwatch universe. In the Numbani map, by the way, he's like,
My wanderings brought me to this place. It was not to my liking.
and you can hear in his voice that he's pretty pissed off about it. Well, there's only one thing that he could really not like about Numbani. It's the fact that it's one of the only places in the world where robots and humans live in harmony. Hanzo hates that because he's a racist to robots. But maybe he's just upset that he cannot cling to the golden butt of this statue. One of the most insufferable things about Hanzo is that in spite of knowing that he made a mistake, he still tries to take the moral high ground. Hanzo is Darth Vader taking off the mask and then telling Luke to go fuck himself. When asked by Genji,
What would our father think of what we've become, brother?
he says,
It's hard to say who he'd be more disappointed by.
yeah, Hanzo may have mutilated his brother, but Genji likes robots, so I guess it's about even. You may have heard Genji say,
It is not too late to change our course, brother.
and Hanzo will respond,
You are mistaken, brother. I am beyond redemption.
that is the cop-out of the century. Like, are you kidding me? He's basically saying, I don't need to improve myself. I don't need to be a better person because I suck. But how hard would it really be for you to go to deathmatch and practice your aim? Can you do that, Hanzo? Can you do that one thing? Why don't you try giving just a little fraction of a shit? So in spite of that, knowing that he made a huge mistake, he still says crap like,
You will never amount to anything.
what are you talking about amount to anything, Hanzo? He's lucky to be alive, no thanks to you. Since when do you care about Genji doing good things with his life? You wanted him to go out and sell drugs. Damn. Hanzo has some unresolved issues. He really needs some therapy from Zenyatta. Another thing, sometimes Genji will say,
So this is what has become of you. A pity.
it's some sass, you know, I admit. It's some well-deserved sass, because let's take a look at Hanzo's choices post-attempted murder. Did he go on to rule the empire of his family without that bastard Genji in the way? No, he didn't. He actually abandoned the clan, and now he's off traveling, being everywhere but where he is supposed to be, on the fucking payload. So it's a legitimate question from Genji, who was almost killed for not wanting to take part in the family business. Hanzo, what happened to the business? What is it that you do around here? Besides judging people. And yeah, you know what he says in response to Genji? He says,
I will not be judged by you.
no, because he's too busy judging everyone else. Maybe it's time to look inside, Hanzo. Maybe it's time to judge yourself. Okay. As a final note, I found this on the internet. Apparently, there was a data mined PTR voice line where Genji says,
Any chocolates today, brother?
and Hanzo says,
Those were your amusements, not mine.
so yeah. On top of everything else, he manages to be judgmental to Genji about liking chocolate. This guy sucks so much. So much. That's all for now. I think I made my point. Thank you so much for watching. As always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let me know if you'd like to see more videos like this in the future. Thank you from the HQ. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.